But go for oh wait, is that I remember I didn't finish everything myself. Let me just find what the official schedule says. No, okay. Chazara is Vav Dalet.
Oh, Dallas. Okay, okay, oh, Dallas. Okay, here we are. Um, if one causes a fire through a deaf, mute, mentally deranged person or a minor, he is exempt by the laws of man, but liable by the laws of heaven. If he causes it through one of sound mind, the one of sound mind is liable. If one brings the fire and brings the wood, and the one who brings the wood is liable. If the one brings the wood and the one brings the fire, the one who brings the fire is liable. If another one comes along and fans it, the one who fans it is liable, and should the wind fan it at all is exempt. If one sets a fire and it consumes wood, stones, or earth, he is liable, as it says, the fire goes forth and comes across thorns, and a stack of grain or standing grain or a field is consumed. The one who ignited the fire shall surely pay. If it crosses a fence 4 cubits high or a public road or a river, he is exempt. If one ignites a fire within his own property, how far can the fire cross? From Elazar ben Azariah says we view it as though it were to in the middle of a core space, land. Reb Elliot says 16 cubits, like a public highway. Reb Akiva says 50 cubits. Reb Shimon says the one who ignited the fire shall pay. All that is according to the law of fire. If one ignites a stack of grain and utensils were in it and they burned, Reb Yehuda says he must pay for what was inside it. The sages say, however, he must pay only for a stack of wheat or barley. If there was a kid bound to it and a slave near it and it was burned with it, he is liable. A slave bound to it and a kid near it and it was burned with it is exempt. The sages concur with Rabbi Yehuda in the case of one igniting a large tower that he pays for all that was inside it, for his customary for people to place things in houses. If a spark flies out from under a hammer and damages, he is liable. A camel that is laden with flax stands in the public domain, and the flax reduced into a shop catches fire from the shopkeeper's lamp and ignites a large tower. The owner of the camel is liable. If the shopkeeper leaves his lamp outside, the shopkeeper is liable. Rabbi Yehuda says in the case of Hanukkah light, he is exempt. Okay.
Okay. Uh, right, Zain Aleph. Maruba midas tashlumei kefil midas tashlumei arba v'chamisha. Okay, so just to refresh in our minds, what are we talking about? Kefil is the din of when a thief is caught with stolen property in his possession by two witnesses. He is not only has to pay back the value of the property or return it if he still owns it, but he also has to pay a double payment. So that's a knas on him for having stolen. The knas gets even bigger if it's an animal, an ox, sheep, or goat, and he shechts it or sells it. Um, so then he is liable to a fourfold or a fivefold payment, four for a sheep or a goat, and five for an ox. So it's simply a knas prescribed by the Torah for those particular things. Now, the what the Mishnah opens up by telling is that the knas for the knas of kefel, the double payment is much more inclusive than on the four or fivefold payments. Why? Shemidas teshlumei kefel noheges bein b'davar sheyesh bo ruach chaim bein b'davar she'en bo ruach chaim, because it applies to anything, whether it's alive or inanimate. Any object that got stolen is subject to kefel. Money, okay. Umidas tashlumei arba v'chamisha ein noheges ela b'shor v'seh bilvad, and the four and fivefold payment is only applicable to those species of animals. If somebody steals a dog, it's not applicable. If somebody owns a giraffe and he steals it, and it's not, there's no arba v'chamisha. Shneimar ki gnov ish shor oseh utvacho mecharo. If it's the pasuk specifically states shor oseh. Seh is a Hebrew word that doesn't translate exactly into English, but it means a goat or a sheep. Okay. Ein hagonev achar ganav mishalem tashlumei kefil. Now, what happens if a ganav stole something and then another ganav came and stole it off the first ganav? So only the first ganav is subject to kefil, not the second one. לא הטובח אחר ולא המוכר אחר הגנב משלם תשלומי 4 ו-5. And similarly, if somebody stole it off a thief and then shechted the animal or sold it, he is not subject to the penalty of 4 or 5 fold payments. Okay, ground rules laid. Now let's see what happens when we have how the payments are going to work. Ganav al pishnaim. So the two witnesses saw the Ganav steal the animal. The Tavach machar al pihem, and they also said, oh, we saw him shecht it as well, or we saw him sell it. Or you have two other witnesses who come and say, "Oh yeah, we saw this guy in the shuk, and he was selling this animal, or he shechted the animal." So you can even split the testimony. You can have two testifying about his about the theft, and two others testifying about the geneva, about the shchita or the mechira. Okay. Mishalem tashlumi arba avachamisha. So and that is a completely legitimate case, and the ganaf will have to pay the 4 or 5 fold payment. Now, we're going to see a similar thing that we've seen many times before, that if a person is chayav misa, then he doesn't pay any monetary damages. So the question is, what happens if he stole this animal on Shabbos? Okay. Ganav, or he stole this animal and sold it, and he dedicated it to Avodah Zarah. Ganav v'tavach b'Yom Kippurim, or he did all of this act on Yom Kippur, or he stole from his father. Let's just deal with these cases individually, because it's giving a whole laundry list, and the halacha is all going to be the same, but the cases are very different. In all these cases, he's going to be pater from the he's going to sorry, no, he's going to be chayiv. Excuse me, he's going to be chayiv in all of these cases, because stealing on Shabbos is just an isur derabanan. Okay, I mean, selling an animal on Shabbos is an isur derabanan. You're not chayiv misa for that. Similarly, if he sells an animal for avodah zarah, he's that's not avodah zarah. You're not allowed to do it. But if he brought it as a korban for avodah zarah, if he shechted it for the sake of avodah zarah, now there you chayiv misa for that. So then he would be pater. Okay, ganav v'tavach b'Yom Kippurim. Yom Kippur is very serious, but it's only chayiv kares. It's not chayiv misa. Okay, the next case. So therefore, he would still be chayav for the 4 or 5 fold payment. Ganav mishel aviv b'tavach umachar. He stole his father's property. Okay, and then he shechted it or sold it. V'achakach meis aviv, and then afterwards his father died. So now what's going to happen is he obviously he is one of the yorshim of his father, but his father's got other yorshim, so he's going to have to pay the fine back into the estate. So whatever his proportion is of that fine, he's going to get back at himself, but his brothers will get their share. Ganav v'tavach v'achakach hikdish. He did these acts, and then afterwards he sanctified the animal. He dedicated it to the mikdash. Or in all these cases, mishalem tashlumi arba v'chamisha. He's chayiv in all these cases, because the fact that he was makdish it afterwards is immaterial, because when he did the act, it was an animal of chulin that belonged to somebody else. Now, the counterpoint examples are going to be where he's going to be pater. Ganav v'tavach lirafua, or sorry, these are not counterpoints yet. If he did it for refuah or leklavim, he shechted it for the sake of medicine, or he was going to just give it to the dogs. Hashochet v'nimtza treifa, or he shechts it and finds that it was a treifa animal. Hashochet chulin ba'azara, or he shechted a chulin animal inside the temple, which makes it pasul, which means you're not allowed to eat it. Okay, Mishalem tashlumi arba v'chamisha. In all these cases, he still pays the arba v'chamisha. Doesn't matter the fact that his shchita turned out to be pasul. He is still chayav. But Rabbi Shimon disagrees on these cases. Rabbi Shimon says b'shnei elu, the last two cases of where he shechts and finds that it's treifa or chulin bazar. So according to Rabbi Shimon, if the shchita turns out to be invalid, then it's not. Then he's not chayav. Okay. Now, um, now we're going to into the din of Eidim Zomamim over here. As we know with Eidim Zomamim, if they are found, so Eidim Zomamim are when two other witnesses come and say, how could you testify on this? You were with us at the time. And then they are going to wind up having to be, if it's applicable, they will pay whatever, they will get whatever punishment they were trying to inflict on their intended victim. And if that's not possible, then they get lashes. So in this case, we're talking about monetary damages. So they're going to have to pay monetary damages. So Ganav al Pishnayim. So there two witnesses come and say that Reuven stole. V'tavach umachar al pihem. And the same witnesses said that he shechted or sold the animal. V'nimtzu zomim, and they were turned into edim zomim. Mishalnin hakol. They pay. These two witnesses have to pay the 4- or 5-fold payment, everything between the two of them. Okay. Ganav al pi shnayim v'tavach umachar al pi shnayim acherim. So now you've got a split testimony. Two said he stole, two said he shechted. Elu v'elu nimtzu zomamin. If both of them were found to be zomamin, harishonim mishalnim tashlumei kefil. The first ones will pay the kefil because they made him chayav as a thief. V'achronim mishalnim tashlumei shlosha. And the second set, if we're talking about an ox, then they pay the extra 3 times because to make it up to 5. So the first two are paying double, and the second ones are paying triple. Nimtu achronim zomamin. If only the second set was found to be zomamin, hu mishalim tashlumei kefil. Then the ganav, because the first witnesses are still standing, the ganav still has to pay a kefil. V'hein mishalim tashlumei shlosha, and the other ones need to, and the edim zomamim have to pay a 3-fold payment because they were trying to add on 3-fold to him. Echad min ha'achronim zomim. What happens if only one of the second set of witnesses is found zomem? So you can't. So that doesn't make them chayav to pay. What all that it does is it invalidates their testimony. So now we just erase their testimony as if it never was. Okay, but la'edas shnia, then all that happens is that it's gone. All we have is a kefil because he's a ganav. Echad min harishonim zomem. Now, what happens if only one of the first witnesses turns out to be a zomem? So batla kol ha'edus, then everything falls away. Why? Shim ein geneva ein tvicha ve'en mechira. Because once you no longer establish that this guy is a thief, then it's his animal that he was shechting, and so the second edus is meaningless. The person's allowed to shecht his own animal. Okay.
All right.
Now we're on to Gimel Yud.
Sometimes one is liable for the debt of his bull and exempt for his own deed. Sometimes he is exempt for the deed of his bull and liable on his own deed. If he bull embarrassed someone, he is exempt. If he embarrassed someone who is liable, so he is liable on the Sabbath. He is exempt because he is liable to his life. The one bull was chasing another bull and it was injured. And this one says, your bull injured it. And that one says, not so, it hurt itself on a rock. And that one says, not so, it hurt itself on a rock. I'm sorry. The burden of proof lies on the one who seeks to exact something from the other. The two were chasing one. This one says, your bull injured it. And that one says, your bull injured it. Both are exempt if both belong to the one man. Both are liable. If one was large and one was small, the damages, he says, not so, the small one injured it. Or the one was a tom and one was a muad. And the damages say, the muad injured it, and the door damages says, no, not so, the tom injured it. The burden of proof is on the one who seeks to exact something from the other. If the injured one were two, one large and one small, and the damages were two, one large, one small, and the damages says the large one injured the large one, and the small one injured the small one, and the damages says not so, the small one injured the large one, and the large one injured the small one, and one was a tom and one was a muad, and the damages says the muad injured the large one, and the tom injured the small one. The damages says not so, the tom injured the large one, and the muad with the small one. The burden of proof is on the one who seeks to exact something from the other. Um, If a bull gores 4 or 5 bulls, one after the other, its owner shall pay the last of them. If there is an excess in it, he shall return it to the one before him. If there is an excess in it, he shall return it to the one before that. The later the injury, the more the advantage there are the words of Rav Meir. Rav Shimon says if a bull worth 200 gores, a bull worth 200, and it catches carcass is worth nothing, this one takes a mana, and this one takes a mana. And if it goes and gores another bull worth 200, the last one takes 100, and that's for those preceding him. This one takes 100, that's for those preceding him. This one takes 50, and this one takes 50. And if it goes and gores another bull worth 200, the last one merely takes a mana, and one who goes before him 50 zuz, and the first two are golden dinner sacks.
Okay, that's it.
Okay.
Okay, Gittin Zain Vav.
One said, here is your get on condition that you serve my father, or on the condition that you nurse my son. How long must she nurse? 2 years. Rabbi Yehuda says 18 months, 2 years, 2 years. Rabbi Yehuda says 18 months. If the son died or the father died, as a get. He said, here is your get on condition that you serve my father for 2 years, or on condition that you nurse my son for 2 years. And the son died and the father died, or the father said, I do not want you to serve me when he was not in anger. It is not a get. Rabbi Shimon ben Gamil says, in a case like this, it is a get. Like this, a rule was stated by Rabbi Shimon ben Gamil that in any case, an impediment which is not caused because of heart, it is a get. If one said, here is your get, if I do not come within 30 days, and he was going to Judah to Galil, and he reached Patris and returned, his condition is null. He said, here is your get, if I do not come within 30 days, and he was going from Galilee to Judah, and he reached Kafar Osnai and returned, his condition is null. He said, here is your get, if I do not come within 30 days, and he was going overseas, and he reached Akko and returned, his condition is null. And he said, here's your get any time that I shall be away from you for your presence for 30 days. And he was going and coming and going and coming. And since he was not alone with her, it is a get. One said, this is your get, I did not come within 12 months, and he died within 12 months, it is not a get. If he said, here's your get from now, that if I do not come within 12 months, and he died within 12 months, it is a get.
Okay. Kesubos, finishing Kesubos and starting Nadarim. So let's first do Kesubos.
There are three lands as far as marriage is concerned: Judea, the other side of the Jordan, and the Galilee. They cannot remove from town to town or from city to city. In the same land, however, they may remove from town to town or from city to city, but not compelled to go out. Every year, one can be compelled to go up to Jerusalem, but no one can be compelled to go out. Both men and women. If one married a woman in Eretz Israel and divorced her in Eretz Israel, he gives her the coinage of Eretz Israel. If he married a woman in Eretz Israel and divorced her in Cappadocia, he gives her the coinage of Eretz Israel. If he married a woman in Cappadocia and divorced her in Eretz Israel, he gives her the coinage of Eretz Israel. He gives her the coinage of Cappadocia. If he married a woman in Cappadocia and divorced her in Cappadocia, he gives the coinage of Cappadocia. Okay.
Okay, Nadarim.
Right over here, I have it over here. Aleph. All equivalent terms using Darm are like Nadarm, and those using Karamim are like Karamim. And all oaths are like oaths, and the Nazareth declaration are like the Nazareth declaration. Or one who says to another, I am restricted from you by neder, I am separated from you, or I'm removed from you, and that shall I not eat. And that I should not taste is bound. I am excommunicated from you. Rabbi Akiva hesitated with this, indicating stringency. If one says, like the vows of the wicked, he has vowed in the turning a Nazarite, an offering, and an oath. Like the vows of the scrupulous, he has not said anything. Like the devotional vows, he says vows concerning a Nazarite and an offering. One who says to another, Cohen.
That's it, just one. Okay, I'm afraid I'm gonna have to head off to Shachris at this point.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Let's finish these up. Okay.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Day.
Yes.